Long since we have heard that open to this feature where I will ask a series of hard-hitting, provocative questions to Dominique Foxworth, and whether he's ready or not, he must answer them. Here we go with the first one. Are the 49ers going to regret paying Brock Purdy all that money? Yes or no?
I mean, absolutely not. Like, I made the argument earlier that was half joking but kind of serious that he that he saved everyone's job by playing well as Mr. Irrelevant. That's reason enough to give him $250 million if you work for the 49ers. But the other reason is, statistically, since he's come into the league in 2021, he's been a top 4 guy, top 3 in all the major categories. All the advanced statistics, yards per attempt, completions over expected, also QBR under pressure, QBR in the red zone, QBR on third down. Like, it measures up. I understand when you watch him, it doesn't look as impressive as some of these other great quarterbacks, but numbers-wise and wins, if you're counting that as a stat, he's right up there with all those guys that are getting paid like that.
Okay, so heat to get to here. Let's play Fact or Fiction. Dominique Foxworth, if I said the 49ers are going to regret giving Brock Purdy all that money, would that be fact or fiction?
I don't care whether it's fact or fiction. None of that matters. Let's be clear about what Brock Purdy did there. He saved everyone's damn job. Pay him all the money he wants. Mr. Irrelevant showed up. And let's not forget, they compiled a bunch of capital to go get Trey Lance, and it didn't work out. And that, when you make picks like that and they don't work out, everyone gets fired. Unless Mr. Irrelevant shows up and is still statistically one of the best quarterbacks in the league over the time that he's gotten there. I don't care if you want to give the credit to Shanahan's scheming or the talent around him. The fact of the matter is, he's earned this money. So I don't give a damn whether it's going to be harder to build a roster going forward or not. That man saved everybody's job. He deserves more than they pay him. Keep paying him more and more money and figure it out on the back end. Draft well. Do something. Play good defense. I don't care what you do, but you don't take any money from Brock Purdy.
I agree with that. If you really think about it, and they made a movie about Kurt Warner's life, right? Mm-hmm. Like, what could be more improbable than this? Here's a script. Here's a script I got for you. Okay, let's try and sell this in Hollywood. Team's going to trade a whole lot of stuff to move up and get the 3rd pick in the draft. Sure. That guy's literally never going to play for them, but the very last guy in the draft is going to wind up being unbelievable and save the day. It's actually almost too ridiculous to be true.
It's pretty ridiculous. I mean, to Nick's point, they got lucky. The Trey Lance pick should be the thing that sinks your franchise, and the fact that it didn't is a testament to Brock Purdy and what he's done with his opportunity.
Team-friendly deal in a lot of ways, too. I mean, the top 10 paying quarterback, but you're not paying him the most and doesn't break the bank. And to Purdy, I give him respect. Never spoke publicly, never fired his agent and hired one of the bigger guys. Purdy was loyal to his people, and it all worked out in the end.
All right, let's keep going with Fact or Fiction. Traeger, you're next. If I said this season, let's get next to a first-round pick. Should the New York Giants sit Jackson Dart for the entire season? Yes or no?
Absolutely not. They have a rough start to the season and a team that's probably not ready for prime time just yet. So I think they're going to be in a tough situation for the general manager and the head coach, who need their jobs saved in the way that Brock Purdy saved the jobs in San Francisco. So at some point, he's going to have to play. Jackson Dart's going to have to play. He doesn't have to be great, but he has to show enough promise in the system that currently exists with the players that are currently there in order to justify keeping that coaching staff in that front office for years to come. So I think that he has to play at some point in this season, unless Russell Wilson has some sort of throwback year in him that we are not expecting, which I don't think any of us see in the future.
All right. I have more thoughts on that one. We'll come back to it, but let me ask you one more quarterback question. Let's go to the NFC North. Which quarterback in that division has the most at stake in the upcoming season?
Yeah, I think it's obviously J.J. McCarthy. We don't know how good he is, but we know how good that team is. And this team had made a very large gamble when they're betting on the quarterback that they haven't seen play yet and letting walk away the quarterback that played really well last year in Sam Darnold. I think we all appreciated that Sam Darnold wasn't great enough for them to commit to going forward, but we know that this roster, offensively and defensively, is ready to win a championship. And J.J. McCarthy, the pressure is going to be on him. If this team comes up short short, at least on the offensive side of the ball, I think all fingers are going to point to him because there's no reason. There's been very few quarterbacks that have played poorly under Kevin O'Connell, and we'll see what happens with J.J. McCarthy. But there's going to be a lot of eyes and a lot of pressure on them playing well, or excuse me, on him playing well in that situation.
With stacked weapons in a brutally tough division. I certainly see that, and that's the direction you went as well.
They went 14-3 and told their quarterback we're good. Sam Darnold was awesome last year, and that's huge. I'd also add this. We've heard how good J.J. McCarthy is. The Michigan Mafia in the media tells us every day. Harbaugh tells us every day. Played one preseason game, got hurt, and now we're supposed to take everyone's word for it that this guy's the guy. He wasn't the prospect Caleb Williams was. He wasn't the prospect Drake May was. He wasn't the prospect Jayden Daniels was. And to your point, and what Nick's saying, he is stepping into maybe the most advantageous situation any quarterback has ever walked into with that roster and with that coaching staff. It's O'Connell, it's Josh McCown, it is quarterback whispers. So I haven't seen it with my own eyes, and I'm sorry, Michigan alumni. I'm sorry, I get it. I know that this is very triggering to you to say that maybe J.J. McCarthy might not be the greatest thing since sliced bread. I just want to see it first.
Yeah, you're not going to be allowed back on Long Island after saying that. And you, Graziano, are looking at Green Bay.
Yeah, at the risk of upsetting all the Utah State alumni and that football media. No, look, I think Jordan Love is entering a point in his career where he needs to deliver. He's been paid. He's been to the playoffs. He's had some level of playoff success. Finishing third in your division, even a division as tough as he plays in, is not going to continue to be acceptable to the fans of the Green Bay Packers. So I do think we need to see a reduction in some of the, poor turnover decision making and a little bit of an elevation of his game as we move forward here. The Packers are not about making it as a wild card and losing in the first or second round.
It's interesting because none of us took Caleb Williams, which might have felt like the obvious choice. But I think that we're sort of overlooking Detroit and Jared Goff. Did their window come and go already? I feel like it just opened, and are we already talking about it shutting? They should have beaten San Francisco 2 years ago. They dropped like flies on their way to the playoffs last year and didn't get out of that first round, and they had no defense left by the end of the year. Now he's lost his genius offensive coordinator, and I don't mean that, sarcastically. I think that guy really is genuinely that. Is Jared Goff the guy that we thought he was, that LA couldn't get rid of fast enough? Or is he really a top-level NFL quarterback? We're going to find out.
I think it's an important year for the Lions and Jared Goff because of all that turnover. You could make the case that it builds in an excuse, right? There's so much turnover on the coaching staff, need time to adjust. But I just don't think that's going to fly. What's going on in Detroit the last couple of years has people fired up and expecting the biggest of big things.
It's not just the head coach. It's not just the offensive coordinator. Their quarterbacks coach is now the offensive coordinator of the Jets. Their offensive line coach is there. It's a lot of change. And then again, it's on Jared Goff. Hey, are you going to be the one to lead these guys?
Nick, are they still the team to beat in that division? Are the Lions still the team to beat in the NFC North?
I absolutely think so, and I think the point about Jared Goff is a good one because when you lose coaches like that offensively, the expectation is that the quarterback becomes more of a coach and takes more ownership. And we've seen Jared Goff kind of answer a lot of the questions that we had about him. He hasn't quite gotten to that elite level, but he's been incredible considering what he was traded for. So I think that's kind of why I don't feel like there's a ton of pressure on him. But you're right. We get to the end of the year, if they're around 8-6, 8-7, and we're wondering if they're going to get over 500 or not. I think a lot of fingers are going to start pointing at Jared Goff.
I would love to continue having this conversation, but right now, I
think it's fiction. I think last year they blew the whole thing up, and now it's year one of the Ben Johnson era, and there's going to be a long runway with this. Ben Johnson is making huge money for an NFL head coach, the most we've ever seen from a first-year NFL head coach. They have a long-term plan here. They've got the two rookies, obviously, in Burden and Loveland that they're excited about. But I wouldn't say that this is the year. You have to win this year. That's a really good division. I think they want to be competitive this year. And then next year is when we're doing all the they must win stuff.
Fair enough. Let me go to the last one because, Graziano, you have, as long as I've known you, been repeating this statistic over and over again that no one repeats in the NFC East. Is this year that falls apart? Do the Eagles repeat as NFC East champs? Fact or fiction?
Fiction. It's 21 years since anybody did it. Weird stuff always happens. The Eagle fans are going to get mad at me, just like they did 2 years ago when I sat here and said the same thing. And with 2 weeks left in the season, it looked like they were going to win it. And then out of nowhere, Kyler Murray has like the game of the year and knocks them out, and Dallas comes up and beats them at the end. Weird stuff always happens. 21 years, no joke. These are highly competitive division. This is a highly competitive division. Teams that hate each other. Weird stuff happens all the time. Unfortunately for the Eagles, they can't win the division in 25.
There's so much.
I don't make the rules.
So much great history in the rivalries, obviously, Cowboys and Washington.